Welcome to the first episode of Series 35 and of 2021, everyone.
Woo-hoo.
2020 is over.
We made it.
I always want to say nowhere to go but up, but then I'm like, bet I can find a way.
Yep, don't tempt it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. However, what a great series we have lined up for you.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jeff Stormer joining us to go over his new game, Anyone Can Wear the Mask.
Mm-hmm.
It's a series you don't want to miss. Jeff is always a delight. This is the second time he's been on the show, and both times I laughed so hard. Jeff's amazing. So please stay for that. But first, announcements.
First up, after a couple weeks break from my Chimera stream, A Tale of Twinkle and Awe, will be returning this Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, where we are introducing Eldritch Horror to our magical girl superhero fantasy world. This will add new rules and new moves to the game for a few sessions, and we're going to be pushing into some of the fears of my players while maintaining a safe environment by utilizing safety tools. So it'll be a fun time. And you can join us at twitch.chimera.games and see what sort of fun our heroes get into.
That'll be creepy.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
Last year at the end of 2019, so I guess not really last year, but you know what I mean. We took a quick moment to talk about our hopes for the upcoming year, the things that we had accomplished the previous year. 2020 was a weird year, but I want to go ahead and take a moment to do that this year too, even though it didn't go how we wanted to.
No.
Things still got done somehow, and there was still some forward momentum. When I looked back at it, I was surprised actually at how much had happened. So I would like to state my goals. I don't really believe in resolutions, but I'm going to put it out there and just say, like, these are the things that I would like to work on.
Yeah.
I want to continue doing more podcasting stuff. Obviously, I fully intend to keep going with Character Creation Cast. We are going into year three?
No, it's been year 4.
Year 4? I don't even know.
Year 4 starts in April, yeah.
It's my child, and I don't know how old it is.
Just today was the 3-year anniversary of the idea sprouting into a solid idea and a name. And
so that is 3 years then.
Yeah, it's been 3 years exactly. So we are currently in year 4 of when we started planning this.
Wow. We've come so far. It grows up so fast.
I know.
So obviously I fully plan to keep going with that. I want to keep working on other podcast projects too. For almost all of 2020, we didn't release any of Garbage of the Five Rings because we had to take a break for some, health sanity reasons of our hosts. We're finally at a point where we're starting to talk about how we can bring that back in a way that is sustainable for both of us.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to getting back to work on that a little bit. I'm also very excited about a new show that I've been kind of quietly working on with Allie Grauer of Welcome to Warda and Careers Call. She and I are working on a podcast about the American Girl books and dolls. We don't have an exact start date yet. We were kind of hoping to get there at the beginning of this year, but then holiday shipping made getting the books back and forth really difficult. But you can look forward to Book Doll Podcast sometime in 2021, and I'm very, very excited about it.
Yeah, that
about doing a non-gaming thing too. Yeah. Should be fun. I want to keep working on some more game design stuff. We got to do a little bit over the course of last year. It's kind of a slow and steady slog. And honestly, I've come to the realization that even if that game never sees a table, it's been a really good mental exercise for me that I've enjoyed doing, and a project that I've enjoyed doing with a friend. And I think that that's totally worth it. Yeah. And I'm trying to recognize that more, that just because I don't end with a finished product in my hands that somebody else sees doesn't mean that work didn't happen or wasn't worthwhile. Exactly. But definitely still want to keep working toward that. And then last year, the biggest thing for me was to be well. My mental health had been really bad the whole year before. I spent most of last year significantly struggling with it. Last year was the worst year by far for me. However, in the last month or so, I have started a new medication and really turned a corner.
Yeah.
I am feeling the best I have felt in probably almost a decade. And I'm really hoping that I can keep going forward with that. Like anything else that happens in this year would be a cherry on top to like feeling like a sane, competent, healthy human.
Absolutely.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, for me, last year definitely didn't go as planned, just like for everybody. But for 2021, I think one of the biggest things that I want to do in 2021 is do more streaming. Because I'm finding it to be very fun to do. Yeah,
you seem to really be enjoying it.
Yeah, it's like not only the in the moment stream stuff, but like the behind the scenes stuff, like making the OBS dashboards and the all the overlays and changing things up. And like if you tune in this Friday, you'll see the overlay has completely changed because we're in the horror portion, so everything got darker, and like all the cool vines that we have around everybody's videos have wilted and turned blood red. It's pretty sweet.
Fancy.
Yeah, so it's cool what you can do with a little bit of photoshopping and whatnot. So no, I'm really excited for that. I want to do some more streaming. I want to do some like maybe some sound design streams, maybe some more just one shots with people. Maybe some more Chimera playtesting as well. So we'll see. I know for A Tale of Twinkle and Awe, everyone that's currently playing right now had signed up for 10 plus sessions, and we're going into session 5 this coming Friday, I believe it is. So we'll see where that goes. Not sure how long the campaign will last. We're going to go until the story is done or until people say, all right, I got too busy.
Yeah.
But the group of players that I have are fantastic. So I'm really excited to see where everything ends up. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to is releasing more micro RPGs. So another game design thing, but I have one waiting in the wings right now. I wrote a game for B Zelda from the Broadswords for Christmas. About bees. You play bees that are also magical girls on vacation. So and you do bee things, but you're sentient magical girl bees. So it's just kind of a fun little thing that you can roll up your characters in 5 minutes or so and play a 2-hour session and tell a fun, magical girl and bee centric story, which is fun. So look forward to that. But then I created a dice system for it that I haven't seen anywhere else, that I'm going to be applying to different games as well. So cool. It'll be all under like this umbrella that I'm calling, what is it? Powered by the Hive. So it's PBTH. Which I thought was fun. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So keep an eye out for that. And I hope I can get to them because I've been quite busy with all sorts of other things. End of year stuff at work has been extraordinarily busy. So I'm hoping that might, die down a little bit so I can have a little bit of breathing room. Other things, I want to see friends in person again.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I miss people. I miss people. Like I only ever see them like twice a year. Yeah. And like it was hard. It was very hard.
And like we went over to my best friend's house. We didn't go inside. We just stood outside his door, masked up, talked for a little bit. And it was always to like, here's some presents or here's some cake or whatever. And I miss hanging out. I miss hanging out and doing fun stuff and everything. Gen Con might be a bust this year. It's like right at that time period that could be potentially maybe safe. but the amount of people that normally attend might make it not so. But almost certainly maybe by November, a Catacon would be a much safer bet for people to get together this year. And goodness, I really hope that can happen for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. And the last goal I have is getting better at sound design. My skills have like grown almost exponentially within the last few months alone. The Horror Borealis crew has been keeping me on my toes with their new adaptation of Stephen King's It, with their Losers, a Love Story. And it's been pushing my skills to the next level, basically.
Yeah.
Like the amount of like really intense stuff I get to do in that show is really like just mind-boggling. So I'm really excited to see where I can go for this year and see where I'm going to be at the end of the year.
I think the thing that I didn't say in mine too is that like I want to play more games. I went and looked back at what I've played this year.
Oh yeah.
And it's been like nothing.
Hardly anything.
Like I've finally like I'm playing in a campaign with friends. So I'm very excited about that because for years I was only doing one shots. And I prefer campaigns. It's just my preferred play style.
Yeah.
But the new games that I try generally are at conventions, and having not gone to conventions, I didn't do a lot of that. So I think when I looked back at it, L5R might have been the only game I played in 2020.
Yeah.
Which would be a bummer. So hopefully try some new games. Friends call me. I think actually next week, or this week. What day is it? In a couple days, actually, I think we're going to try and play Anyone Can Wear the Mask, actually. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. I think after the series is done releasing, my friend in town, he listens every week when we release, which just kind of warms my heart a bit.
Yeah.
But I know he's going to listen to this one, and I want to play it after he listens. Because I think that'll get us the most, the most out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to play that as well.
Okay. Well, before we, use too much of people's time, before they lose interest in listening to this episode, last thing, we wanted to remind everybody that we are in need of more reviews. We have one for this week and one for next week. After that, we have nothing. No, just one for this week, I think. Oh, I thought this is it. We have one more. You said we have one more after this episode. One more. After this, I see. We're reading it after the episode. Yeah. Okay. I see. So just this one. Then we're done. Yeah. Yikes. So please, if you hear this, if you've made it this far and you're still with us and you haven't turned off the episode, please leave us a review, even if that review is like maybe talk less. Yeah. Just give us 5 stars and we'll take whatever advice you have to heart. Yeah, here's the thing. If you rate us 5 stars and then are like, they talk too much, we'll still read that. It just needs to have 5 stars. Yep. You can say whatever you want as long as you leave 5 stars. and it's work appropriate. Okay, right. Yeah, and it's no language. So if you like what you hear this series, whether you are new or have been here since the start, please go ahead and leave us a review. We would love to read it. Absolutely. For now, thank you for sticking with us in this long cold opening. Let's get excited for the start of one of my favorite series to date and get to the episode with Jeff Stormer. It's a great one. Enjoy. Welcome to Character Creation Cast, a show where we discuss and create characters, the best part of role-playing games, with guests using their favorite systems.
I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and this episode, my co-host Amelia and I are excited to welcome back Jeff Stormer, designer of the game we are covering today, Anyone Can Wear the Mask, a storytelling game about a hero, a villain, and their city.
Jeff, welcome to Character Creation Cast again. We're really excited to have you back.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, honestly, a while since you were on Character Evolution Cast with us. So let's start by reintroducing you to everybody. Can you tell us about yourself, the projects you're involved in, aside from this one, where people can find you?
Yeah, of course. My name is Jeff Stormer. I am a podcaster, game designer, and the official LARP designer of the Olive Garden restaurant.
Yes.
I am the host of Party of One, which is an actual play podcast focused on two-player role-playing experiences. I am a co-host of All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast on the One Shot Network. I am also the host of Talking Nog, which is the world's foremost authority on eggnog and eggnog-related issues. And also
it's
I am
time for that one. Well, actually, by the time this comes out, I suppose it will be past time for that.
You'll be able to hear Talking Nog 2K20 on the Talking Nog podcast feed, which you can find at bit.ly/Talking Nog, since I think I have to transfer hosting services because I think I'm out of SoundCloud space. And I actively refuse to pay any money for Talking Nog because why? Because that is against the spirit of what I am doing here. And also I am a game designer, including the game that we are playing today, Anyone Can Wear the Mask.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get into this, and we're going to start by discussing what this game is all about.
What's in a game?
All right. So what sort of setting are we talking about for Anyone Can Wear the Mask? What is this game about in a nutshell?
This is a game about superheroes. It is a game about a superhero, a supervillain in the city that they share. It is a game about superhero narratives in the vein of Superman or Spider-Man or Batman that are very specifically tied around here is a hero and here is the city that they protect and the people in this city that look up to them and the sort of relationship that they have. And the kind of relationship that the hero and villain have against one another. And it is more than anything. It is like the setting is my love letter to Superman, because it is about a hero that always saves the day and what happens when they can't save everyone along the way. And that sort of experience of coming back stronger because you're overcoming the failures that you've had along the way.
That's awesome.
I'm really excited about this. I've been kind of watching as you've been working on this for a while, hasn't it been? It's been, I don't know, is it a
6
year?
to 8 months, I think. Okay. I started it I think maybe either over the summer or in the spring. I started it in quarantine. This has been a quarantine project. And now so it's been somewhere between 6 and 8 months of this has been the thing that I've been working on.
Yeah, I've been just watching your tweets and stuff about it as it oh, here's an idea. I figured this part out. It's always fun to watch people kind of do those things out loud. I get really excited as I follow along with things like that. And
I do
too, oh, it's coming together.
I get the same way, which is why, honestly, the reason that I really started doing it, because I enjoy seeing it when other people share it. And also I've heard people talk about I've heard new designers talk about it is a helpful thing to hear people go through the process, especially people who have been through it before. And because it shows that it's a process and you get to watch what people work on and the ways that they work on things. And also it shows that it can be easy for a new designer to see projects and to feel like they appear fully formed into the world and as if they have been handed to us from on high. And it is a very encouraging thing for someone who is new or who is figuring out if this is something that they want to pursue, to see that, oh yeah, we all just mess with ideas and, bang on concepts. And sometimes we drop projects and sometimes we swing over our weight class. And it's a process to see that happen. And I think it's important to kind of open that door and show people how the sausage is made, because it's going to lead to more people making sausage.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know from my own experience of like trying to kind of make a game is like my design partner and I will sit down and we will talk and talk and talk and talk for 2 hours. And then we'll be like, wait, did we end up exactly where we started? And it's like, yes, we did. We just like, we went in circles and it's like, we could do this and we could do this. Or it's like, oh, what if we did that? Wait, no, that's the thing that we were originally going to do anyway. And then feeling sort of like bummed about it of like, am I even getting anything done? And so it's been really nice to watch you do that. We watched the Descent into Midnight team do that. I watched Alex Roberts do that when she was working on Starcrossed. Kind of just, you know, have those like conversations out loud has been really helpful to know that it's like somebody didn't just wake up and like have this shower thought in the morning of like a brilliant, fully designed game. Like, right. Mentally, I know that, but being able to see that has been really helpful.
That's exactly it. It's really powerful to see that so often the things we work on, like there's sweat and there's tears put into them, and seeing that, like, I think it makes it more valuable for me. Like it makes it so that when I see the thing and it's available and it's a done thing, that I can go, wow, this is something that I know this person like sweated on. And like, it's something that they've put a lot of themselves into, and you know, that adds its own kind of value to a project.
Well, I think from like a marketing standpoint too, that like by the time that thing comes out, I'm so excited for it because I've seen how it's, you know, like the thought that's been put into it, and like have been watching this like cool piece here and there, and then like it was like, oh, now all of these things have come together, and now I have to have it. So
for sure, 100%.
Back to the actual questions on the outline. What kind of things do we need to play this game?
So the things that we need to play this game, there are 3 player roles in this game, and each of those roles interacts with a different component of the game. So the person playing our villain is going to need a handful of 6-sided dice, probably in like no more than like 3 to 5, but I won't tell you how many dice to bring to a game session. The player playing our city, and we'll explain what all 3 of these terms mean once we kind of get into things. The player playing the city is going to need a deck of playing cards, and the player taking on the role of the hero is going to need a journal or some writing implements or things that they can draw on and write with. This can be a notepad program. This can be a journal. They need some documentation tools. And because we're doing this on a podcast, the podcast sort of becomes our documentation tools. Yeah, but
true.
When you're playing it like off mic, like with a table of people, like the player taking on the role of the hero will have like a journal or some pens and paper in front of them to kind of like be mapping things out.
And I think it's worth noting that this is a 1 to 3 player game as well.
Oh yeah, you can. The game is light enough that you could play all 3 of these roles yourself and just you know, at each of the and just do all of the things at the same time. And we've also worked out how to do it with 2 players because it's my brand and I have to stick to that brand.
I was going to say, if you can't make a 2-player game, Jeff, I don't know who can.
Well, you know, you say that, but I also made mission accomplished, which is you cannot play with less than 4 players. So that was a failing on my part. Like, I sat down, I was like, all right, what's the 2-player version of this game? Well, that doesn't work at all.
It's actually just a special double episode of the podcast where we have 4 people.
Yeah, that's exactly what we ended up doing. Was I released an episode and I was like, this isn't our normal format, y'all. I don't know what to tell you. We couldn't do it. People keep asking me in interviews, what's a game that you would love to play with 2 players that simply can't be done? And every time I have to hang my head and be like,
my own game.
It's the one that I wrote. It's the one that I made.
You say, you know what? I just really wanted like a change of pace, so I decided to write one that couldn't be played that way. It was a design challenge for myself. Yeah. You gotta just really spin it around, Jeff.
Just take the whose line is it anyway approach and get a whole bunch of like things that happened from the audience, and then now you can just play it 2 players.
See, I don't want to go down an entire rabbit hole, but I can singularly debunk that, but I don't think it's on the topic of this episode.
I know.
We don't need an entire other half-hour segment where I dig into the gears of my own frustrations at not being able to play Mission Accomplished with two people.
We can do a separate Mission Accomplished episode sometime.
I'm down with this. It's also a game that I think would be fun for character creation cast.
Absolutely.
But that's neither here nor there.
It is fantastic. All right. What kind of stories and themes is this game, Anyone Can Wear the Mask, meant to explore?
So we kind of already mentioned, I mentioned the kind of stuff about being a hero and saving the day and the idea that, and so what I want to emphasize here is like kind of the, what I would describe as the fundamental truth of the game. Because there's one fundamental like fact about the game, which is sort of unshakable. Mm-hmm. And wherever you set the game, whatever characters you make for the game, this is the thing that is always true. The hero will succeed at the end of every issue. It's never a question of will the hero save the day or not, because the answer is always yes. Mm-hmm. That was a design decision we carried over from the game is based on, Beyond the Rift by Dee Pennyway. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but that is a fundamental truth of the game, because to me, like the reason that that is so important to the game is because the game is not about that aspect of it. Because a lot of ways, like I said, this is my Superman game. And this is a game where, we know the hero is going to win. That's not where the drama comes from. The drama comes from, can the hero save everyone? And how do they continue being a hero when the answer to that question is no? Mm-hmm. So it is going to be the themes of the game are you're going to have a hero that always wins, but maybe can't save everyone. Things will go wrong along the way. They're eventually going to fight a villain, the one person stronger than them, and we're going to see what happens when that unflappable hero fights the one thing that they can't save the day against. And we're going to get the catharsis of that hero is going to come back stronger and save the day and make right what they couldn't make right before. Okay. And then the other key theme is the relationship between like a city and the hero that it looks up to. We're going to create a place that values this hero, and we're going to create a group of people that want this hero to succeed. And it's about, supporting the people in one's life that you want to it's about creating a relationship of mutual support. It's a game about mutual aid, I guess is how I would describe it, because it's a game about we support you when you need it and you support us when we need it. And it is a game about protecting one another, often with a subtext of because people in power might not always protect us. Mm-hmm.
One of the questions we always ask is, what do characters do in this game? And I think in most superhero games, like in Masks or something like that, it's pretty clear. Like you're fighting evil, you're being a superhero, but this is, I feel like, a little bit more complicated because, like, I mean, if you are the city, like, what are you actively doing in this game? It's like, if you're the villain, how are you interacting also with the city? Like, how do those three pieces kind of fit together?
Got it. That is, thank you. That is a great question, because I think like I could talk about what they all kind of do thematically, but I think this is a great kind of opportunity to talk about it on a mechanical level, because I think there's some interesting things that kind of also expand out to the themes that we were just talking about. So the three things that each player does is, we'll start with the hero. What the hero does is, in capital letters, save the day. Actually, even more so than that, I think that is the important thing to lead with, because like what characters do in this game is create scenarios for the superhero to save the day. But we'll kind of walk through an average like turn or round or like play cycle of the game, because I think we can kind of elaborate from there. So we start with the city. Each turn starts with the city flipping a playing card. It's a standard 52 deck of cards. You can cut it to certain numbers if you want the game to run a certain number of time, but the city flips a playing card. Based on, the first thing that happens is based on the suit of that playing card, the city plays their role and introduces a part of the city and some people in that city. The city tends to be broken up into sort of 4 districts, neighborhoods, boroughs, however you want to define it. But they introduce a place and people who live in that place. So turn by turn, you quite literally flesh out like the city and the people inside of it. Then play moves over to the villain, who looks at the number that is on that card and says, okay, here's how these people are in danger. Here is the threat that has befallen these characters. You know, the city creates our neighborhood diner and the people that live in it. The villain says, and now there's a super villain robbing this diner. The villain then rolls a 6-sided dice or multiple 6-sided dice and picks the highest result. And in that result tells the hero what happens as they save the day. Either they save the day and become like an icon to the city, right? They have a big hero moment. They cause damage or get hurt, or someone dies or is lost or turns evil, or however you kind of want to define, you lose someone. Mm-hmm. But the idea is like the villain rolls the dice and prompts the hero to say, what does this look like? What is your hero moment under the context of you are either going to get hurt or something in the city is going to be profoundly damaged. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, then the hero saves the day. The hero, has their kind of journal and they can kind of write down the names of the people that they save. They draw out their little section of the city. They start building out their kind of map of what the city looks like to them. And they describe, okay, I save the day by doing this, this, and this. I have this power that I will use in this context, and this is how I save the day, and here's what gets broken along the way. And so that is sort of the core turn. There are a few exceptions to that, which are like face cards change the game a little bit because they introduce other prominent non-player characters. They introduce other prominent named characters. So, like, if you flip a queen, that is someone that is connected to the hero's life behind the mask. So so the turn order changes when you flip a face card.
Oh, okay.
But like that is sort of the general flow of the game. Is the city introduces a place, the villain threatens that place, and the hero saves the day. And then there are 2 jokers. The joker, when you flip that, is when we get to watch the big villain emerge and the nemesis sort of defeat the hero and the low point of the emotional journey. That's when Darkseid shows up and blows up Metropolis and Superman's not quite strong enough to stop him. And then when we flip the second Joker, that's when we have our uprising and the hero comes back stronger and saves the day. So it is a game that has that very specific superhero narrative baked into the gameplay mechanics.
I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm so excited.
I love superheroes is the thing. I love them so much.
Do you, Deb? It sounds like you don't know anything about them at all, actually.
You know what? Like, this is a moment that I get to drop my favorite fact about myself. I went to school for this. Yeah. This is my 10 years later college thesis.
Wait, really? No, hold on. Go back to that. What?
So I have an English degree, but my English degree, like, concentration is literally in comic books. And most of that study was around, like, superheroes. I went to Ohio State, where I went to school, has what is, I believe it's either the only or it's the first comic book research library in the world. Wow. So, like, it opened when I started going there. Like, my first year was, like, the year that they had kind of opened it to the student body. So this was what I did, like, so within my English degree, like, I majored in comic books and superheroes. And so, God, I
love the, like, niche things that, like, people can focus on in college. You're like, this is the, like, little area that I know so much about. Like, I don't know. That always fascinates me.
It fills me with joy. The times when I get to like pull out this ace card in my back pocket, it's my favorite thing. And this game really is like a summation of the kind of superhero tropes and lore and sort of like folklore iconography and themes that like really speak to me. It's why I keep coming back to superheroes, and more specifically, it's why I keep coming back to Superman specifically. Mm-hmm. This game is my rebuttal to the argument that Superman is boring because he's too powerful and he's always going to win. This game is my answer to that question.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Goodness. Yeah.
I love that you're like, I will put those student loans to use and I will prove to you.
Doing it.
Seriously.
Making this.
Oh my goodness.
Do not tell me that Superman is boring. I will make a game to disprove that to you.
That's the ultimate flex, really. It's like, let me just make an entire product to prove you wrong.
Yep.
6 months ago, someone said that to me and I cracked my knuckles and I was like, well, all right.
I'll show you, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a lot that I've been hearing so far that points to unique things about Anyone Can Wear the Mask. What would you say is one of the more unique things?
I think to
about
me,
this game?
I really think it's going back to that fundamental truth of the game. I think the idea that the hero always wins, like, makes it stand out among a lot of other superhero games. Mm-hmm. A lot of other games, I mean, and there's kind of a reason for this because, you know, every superhero game is chasing after a very different kind of drama, and a lot of them are chasing after different superhero stories.
Yeah.
Masks has character, like, opens it up that you can fail because it's a story about, you know, self-discovery and finding out who you are in the world, and failure is part of that, right? Like, games like, there are games that I could reference other games here, but they're games I don't like and I don't want to be mean. But like there are games like trying to think of another superhero game. Like Masks to me is the
Heroes
game.
Unlimited.
We can joke on Heroes Unlimited if we want to. I mean, that's fine.
Heroes Unlimited includes a ton of like failure conditions because it is a game written before people realized that you didn't have to include that.
Yeah.
There's a lot in that game that doesn't need to be there.
That's correct. But like a lot of the thing that I wanted was the reference point that I have is there is a webcomic that came out when I was in college. I'm dating myself here. A comic called Dr. McNinja by Chris Hastings. It includes a single page strip from a character called the Bee-Man, and he was a Batman riff, and it's a single page comic, and it's one that I think about a lot in terms of superhero context. It is some guys break into a bank and start to rob it. Bee-Man jumps down from the ceiling, jumps down from the sky lamp, and there's the big cool shot of him falling and his cape is flapping, and the guards are shooting, or the robbers are shooting their gun, and the last panel is just a dead body flopping on the floor. And that's it. That's the strip. And like, I think about that so often, and I think that is, in a lot of ways, the thing that I didn't want in this game. Mm-hmm. And it's because, like, that's not a superhero story, right? Like, that's not a story and having it be a Batman motif is very appropriate. And in a lot of ways, this game is also my answer to the comment, well, Batman's much more interesting than Superman because we honestly don't know if he's going to survive when he fights his enemies. And I'm like, really? We don't know that? You pick up a Batman comic and you go, well, he might die. This might be this might be it. He might just die here. And like, we know the superhero is going to win because we're reading a superhero book with a superhero's name in big block letters on the cover.
And if they do die, they come back.
And it's a big deal, right? Like it says on the cover, this guy's going to die today, right?
Yeah.
Like the death of Superman is written in giant letters on the cover. It says the death of Superman. Like we know that's going to happen. And like, that is something that like, I just wasn't, I wanted to make a game where that wasn't an option because like, it's not true to what a superhero comic is. And that to me is what makes the game really unique, is it is a game that kind of says you're going to win because you're a freaking superhero and superheroes win. Like you are someone that is going to save the day. Mm-hmm. There's drama that will come from that, but we're not worried about you finding a way to stop this bank robbery because you're going to stop this bank robbery. That's not the question.
Absolutely.
We usually talk about the history of the game. I want to talk a little bit about the fact that it's a hack of Beyond the Rift, or at least that it kind of started that way. I don't really know anything about that game, So can you talk a little bit about what it is and how this came to be from that?
Absolutely. So this is a pretty direct hack of the game Beyond the Rift, which is a game that I genuinely love, and I really can't recommend that you pick up if you've not read it or played it. Like, I think it's a beautiful, wonderful game. It is a game that sort of is designed to create stories along the line of Metroidvania, or more specifically like Hollow Knight style like platforming side-scrolling games. A lot of the mechanics for this come directly from Beyond the Rift. And sort of the history of it is that I played that game with the designer D Pennyway. Like, I played it with D on Party of One. Like, they brought the game, they were like, I think this would be an awesome fit for the show, and I was like, hell yeah, let's play it. And we sat down together and played it, and A, I was captivated. Like, it's one of my favorite Party of One episodes. And B, I remember playing it, and in the back of my mind, I'm playing through it, and I'm like, this is a superhero game. This is a superhero game. Like I remember like thinking through the mechanics, going like, oh, this might be a superhero game. Oh, there's a superhero game like in here. I need to make this into a superhero game. And as soon as we ended the recording, like, we hopped off, like, we hit stop on Audacity, and I looked at D and I was like, can I make this into a superhero game? And their exact response was, please make this into a superhero game. And so here we are. Like, it is a beautiful, beautiful game. And it's so interestingly done. And it in the way that, like, that idea that the hero always succeeds is also present in Beyond the Rift, but it takes a very different context. Where instead of being like, you are going to succeed, what it is, and something might go wrong, what it is you roll a 6-sided dice, and it says, and the dice tells you not whether or not you succeed, but how much you have to fail before you find the opportunity to succeed, because it is sort of a fantastical context where, like, if you die, you kind of reappear back where you were. Like, you'll reincarnate, or you'll kind of start over again, or you will like have an opportunity to overcome that obstacle again. And
interesting
in the way that, and it's designed that way because it specifically is invoking playing a game like Metroid, where you come up to an obstacle, you try one way, you die.
Yeah.
You come back to that same stage, you die, and you have to figure out, okay, this enemy is going to shoot every 2 seconds. They're going to shoot a laser beam over my head. If I jump, they're going to shoot me with that laser beam and I'm going to die. So I have to go down low, roll, get close to them, drop a mine on them and roll back, because if I don't roll back, the mine is going to explode and get me with it. So it's a game that is designed to create the tabletop equivalent of that story where you're playing a Metroidvania game. And you're slowly, like, figuring out the rhythms of the monsters and figuring out the obstacles and the pits that you have to jump over. And the mapping aspect is the exact same thing. It's what is the coolest part of playing a Metroid game. It's watching that level map slowly fill in. And it's whenever you find that new room, it appears somewhere else on the map and you're like, I have to go back that way to, like, get to this other room. And there's cards that interact with each other to create that experience of, now I've got a double jump and I can get to this level I couldn't get to before.
Oh, wow.
I really love Beyond the Rift. And, like, people
are so smart with their game design. Like, you know, I mean, I know we just talked about that whole process of, like, seeing people try and fail and try something new, you know, but, like, it still blows my mind sometimes, like, the experiences that we can simulate in tabletop.
It's
like
it's mind-blowing.
Way people's brains work to just be like, what if I tried to do this whole other thing? Like, oh, now we use cards. Like, now we use a Jenga tower. Now I can simulate this experience. You know, like, it's mind-blowing. It's just absolutely mind-blowing.
It is the most beautiful, like, every time I run into something like this, it is the most beautiful thing in the world to me, because, like, every single time I can look at it and go, this is something that this person knows so well that they literally just took, like, completely, like, sideways mechanics and were like, this, and find a way to completely, like, when I played Beyond the Rift, like, you know, like, D really likes Hollow Knight. Like, I've talked to them about it. They've talked to me about it. They've tweeted about it. Like, they know Hollow Knight like the back of their hands. And so much of this game is creating a Hollow Knight game. And reading through it, you're like, yeah, they get it. Like every single one of these is a moment where they're like, this is Hollow Knight. Like this is what's going to happen at this point in the story. And I've got it worked out.
That goes back to that whole, like, people just having their thing that they're specialized in of, like, this is my, like, tiny little window, but I know everything about it. And I just love that. Like, it makes me so happy.
In that window, I'm going to create the most beautiful representation of this thing. And sure enough, like, Dee brought onto my show their Hollow Knight game, and I sat back and I was like, what about Superman, though? Like, what is Superman? And it turns out to have created another beautiful game from the same set of mechanics. And so,
oh my goodness.
Like, honestly, like, once you have played and read Anyone Can Wear the Mask, and you've bought it at jeffstormer.itch.io/mask, go also buy Beyond the Rift by Dee Pennyway, because, like, it's so beautifully written, and like the design on it is a gorgeous looking game. It is designed as a browser app. It's beautiful and I love it. And I just want to talk about Beyond the Rift all day.
Oh my goodness. You absolutely tickled the nostalgia portion of my brain that has the original Metroid for the NES map seared into it from the multiple play sessions.
Oh yeah. And like, and really specifically, Ryan, I want you right now to think about that moment when you're playing it and you get the double jump for the first time.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's that one part of the map that's on the far side of the screen. And you're like, oh, I can jump there now.
Yeah.
Like you see that tiny little like crevice that you're like, I can jump. You spent like an hour jumping and you're like, maybe if I climb up here, I can't quite land it. Maybe if I do a running jump, I can't quite get there. And then you get that double jump and you go,
yeah,
oh, I can double jump that.
It's so much easier than the landmine trick where you go and bounce and time your mind just perfect. So you keep going higher and higher and higher.
And then you get that ability and you're like, oh, this is easy.
This is how it's supposed to be.
It captures that feeling, and it captures also that kind of like beautiful bittersweet frustration of like, I'm here now. I have the double jump. It took me 47 tries. I'm tired. I'm frustrated, but I have it now. And like this has been my TED Talk on why I love the game Beyond the Rift by Dee Pennyway. Please go buy it.
Absolutely. So at this point in the episode, we normally cover basic terms and concepts that we need to know before we start creating characters, but we've kind of already gone over the three roles, the hero, indeed, the city, and the villain. Is there any other sort of terms or concepts that we'll need to know before we dive into this?
Not really. There would be a few terms that would come up in play, but nothing that's going to come up in our character creation process.
Okay. Wonderful. So, shall we go ahead and make some people and a city?
Let's do it.
I'm all about it.
All right.
All right.
Let's make some people.
Let's make some people.
And a place.
Let's make a place.
Yeah. In the interest of being fair, I did grab playing cards and dice, and I do have my iPad here. So
you're
I can do any of the things.
All right. So the first thing that we need to decide is who is going to be playing which role. We've got our hero, our villain, our city. We have an idea of what each role constitutes. I know, Ryan, you had a specific preference.
Well, I
will be kind if you would like to be the villain.
So I was thinking I wanted to go against type for the episode because I did two series in a row where I was a magical girl. And I would be very tempted to make another one if I was the hero. However, going against type would make me a villain. But I am absolutely open to any of the roles at this point because I've got an interesting thought in mind if I were the hero as well. That is not a magical girl.
Okay, I was going to say that was where I was going to draw the line. 3 in a row is too much.
I know, it's fine.
Too much.
I know, it's fine. It's fine.
Amelia, do you have a preference between the hero and the city?
Or the villain?
I mean,
I'm keeping that on the table for
it's on the table.
Okay, but I think that like if you're gonna be the bigger person and not be a magical girl, I will be the bigger person and not play the villain this time.
All right, fair.
So I think I might want to be the hero.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I love playing the city. Making ordinary places is one of my favorite things in the world to do.
Wonderful. So I will be the villain then.
Okay.
All right.
I will.
So the first thing that we're going to do, I know we traditionally sort of go through a round robin style, but I think that the way to best sort of represent that with the game that we have is an interesting thing about the game, going back to the question of what makes this game unique from a character creation standpoint is you don't do it all at once. Like character creation and the world building of it is very specifically kind of parceled out through each of the different like moments in play. There's moments at every kind of step of the way that we ask key questions that really tell us who our characters are. So I think the best thing to do is going to be like each of us do one of those phases, and then that'll kind of walk us through the game. This is going to be technically the world's fastest actual play if anyone can wear the mask is what's about to unfold here.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited because we only ever get to make characters, and I think that this is going to be like the closest we've come to actually playing a game on our show. So I'm pretty excited for this.
Yeah, we almost played One Last Job, I think it was. Or something like that on our mini episodes.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Series 19. But we fudged so much and we didn't actually play it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
We just pretended to play it.
We'll do about the same here. So we'll start by answering a few questions to give us an idea of who our hero is.
Oh boy.
Because part of how the game works is we can't really know the other pieces of the puzzle until we kind of know who our hero is.
Sure.
So the first question, so I've got a few questions to ask our hero. The first question is, how powerful are you? We've got some options. You can create your own answer, but some example options are like a street level vigilante, a friendly neighborhood hero, a la Spider-Man or maybe Daredevil, someone gifted with great power, which is sort of more of like a Flash or a Green Lantern or an Iron Man, or someone who is a living god, which is your Supermans and your Thors and your quite literal gods.
Yeah. Because this kind of sets the tone for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. It gives us an
does.
idea of like what threats we're going to throw at you, what sorts of places you're going to visit, the size of everything. It sets a lot of like the tone of the game.
Yeah. I don't know, Ryan, what do you think? Kind of level do you want to play at?
I don't think I want to go on the extreme ends. I don't want to go like basic vigilante or like super god type individual. So somewhere in the middle.
Let's go
really
like one lower than god.
I think, yeah, gifted with great power sounds really, really interesting.
Yeah. Or in the case of Iron Man, great money.
Yeah. Right. Sometimes that is exactly what that means.
Exactly.
The next question, and I'll peel back the curtain a little bit and talk about like what this is setting up is, where do your powers come from? Are they science, magic, technology, ancestry? Who even knows? Or powers? What powers? This kind of sets up the, if the first question is kind of setting up the tone of the game, this is kind of coloring in the sort of the palette a little bit. Like, you know, if we know your character is a magic user, we're gonna know to include magical locations. If your character is a tech character, we're gonna have techie things. Like in the first one sets scale. This kind of sets the color and the tone of the game.
Okay.
Blood magic.
No, I'm the hero, Ryan, not the villain.
You use good blood.
Good blood, yes.
Wait.
Yes, only that good blood. I feel like I like magic.
Magic works. Magic is cool.
Not a magical girl, though.
No, doesn't have to be.
And which segues nicely into our next question of like, what exactly do you do? And this is one of those things that we'll color in more specifically in play when we get to our later segments, but it's helpful to have kind of a picture of like, the sort of like paint colors that you're painting with. It's helpful that as I read from the game, if you're at a loss for ideas, you can always borrow some powers from your favorite superhero, use a playbook or tables from your favorite superhero RPG, or leave this intentionally vague and come up with powers later.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like, what is your like main like thing that you do? Is that?
Yeah. Okay. What is your superhero shtick?
Cool. I feel like I want it to be like teleportation mostly.
Ooh.
Teleportation is cool, especially with magic, because then you're opening up like magical portals and things, and that's like a dope visual.
Yeah.
That's very good. All right, so we've got an idea of who this character is, and now the fourth question has a mechanical thing tied to it. But how do you help your city? Are you the hand of the people protecting them so they can thrive? Are you an icon that they look up to for inspiration? Are you the smiling face and friend to those who need it? Or are you the dark knight that avenges the injustice that they suffer?
I love this so much.
I don't. Trying not to be me. It's like, we're not going to go with vengeance. Sorry, what was the first one?
The hand of the people protecting them so they can thrive, which is kind of in line with the pop culture reference points that I couldn't put in the game because of copyright law, are like it's like a Luke Cage or a Daredevil or somebody who is like, who is like watching out for their neighborhood and is like the person that's like, they're not going for vengeance, but they're offering active protection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's it either.
And then the other reference points for the options are like your icon is like Superman, right? You're the person smiling on the rooftop that everybody points at, or you're a Spider-Man, which is you're the person that sits next to you when they save the day and eats a burger with you, or you're the Batman. You're Justice the Knight.
Yeah, no, I think I'm definitely more like I'm leaning more toward the like Spider-Man. Like we can chill and hang out.
I love it. It's a good option. I mean, you can't go wrong with a friendly Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And really, like, that's all we have about our hero. We could have names and pronouns, but like also, we've played games where that's kind of appeared in play, right? So that's kind of the opening phase of the game with our hero.
Cool. So what suit does that equivalent to?
So what that represents in play is your strong suit is hearts. And what a strong suit is when I flip as the city, when I flip a playing card, if I flip a heart card, the villain is going to roll 3 dice and tell me the highest result when it comes time to tell us how well you did at saving the day.
Oh,
when you flip a diamond, or when I flip a diamond, the villain is going to roll 2 dice. And when I flip a club or spade, the villain is going to roll 1 dice.
Interesting.
And that translates more specifically to you've got your neighborhood, your place where you are most comfortable, your place of power. And then in the city, there are areas where you are a little less familiar, and there's areas where you're out of your element for some reason or another.
Cool.
Awesome.
Now that we know our hero, we'll answer some city questions. The city is everyone else, as we've talked about. And so we only have a few questions. The first question is, how large is our city? I'm kind of feeling like this might be like a borough. Like this might be like a section of a larger metropolis city, but this might be like a smaller district of it.
Okay.
Unless anyone has any other strong feelings about it.
No, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
Cool.
I like the options on this, that it doesn't limit you to a city or just the world. One of the options is to infinity and beyond. And I just like that you have that in there, because goodness, it's limitless.
Well, play any scale you want.
And part of the reason that I included that was, so there's the options. I'll read them off. The options are small town, bustling borough, a major metropolis, the whole wide world, and to infinity and beyond. And the reason that I included that is there's a very specific character that I love that I've referenced already, that like Thor technically his city is a million different planets.
Yeah.
But his stories are very much still like something is threatening something in my domain. I have to go like step up and defend it. So and the other example that I love dearly that we talked about before we got on mic, Goku fits perfectly into this, right? Like there's the entire cosmos and Goku is like, Lord Frieza is threatening a planet 3 galaxies away. I got to go beat that guy up. And it's that idea that like the city is the place that you defend, right? It is the location that you are the defender of. And there are Superman stories where his city is Metropolis. There are also Superman stories where his city is the entire cosmos.
Yeah.
And I wanted those both to be kind of options.
That's awesome.
And the other half of initial character creation for our city is I'm going to create 4 districts. These are 4 subsections of the city that when I flip a card will give us an immediate idea of the visuals that are tied to where we are. It makes it a little easier when we're drawing cards to come up with locations once we have an idea. The example that I have in the book is that Kirby City is broken up into Morrison Square Park, Simone County Community College, McDuffiesburg, which is a residential district, and the Jazzy Tech District of Giffen Alley. So I want to say this borough, I want to lean into magic a little bit and say like the larger borough is sort of like the historical district of, we'll go with Kirby City again because it's in the book and it's a comic book reference that I love.
Yeah.
This is like old Kirby City, right? Like this is the historical district. This has been around for hundreds of years. There is history to the architecture, and with that history comes magic. Like there is magic woven into the walls and into the geometry of the city, and like it is bustling with magic. And I think that creates this experience where like your magical character kind of fits into that. So I want to throw in, and this is a piece of the game where if anyone has thoughts on like a section of a historical borough that they would like to see, like we can collectively throw out ideas. I want to throw out that there's definitely like a historical battlefield. Like this city was like a Revolutionary War battle site, or like a similarly old battle took place here. So there's a section of old Kirby City that is like buildings that have been left in ruin to preserve the history of them. And it's almost like a walking outdoor museum, right? Like it's called like the Battlefield Museum, and it's buildings that have been kind of half leveled and spaces where you can see a floor plan mapped out on the ground. And it's like the site of a historical battle.
Okay.
So there's definitely ghosts is what I'm getting.
For sure. That area is super haunted.
Super haunted.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on a section?
I wanted something with books, either a library, a bookstore, or like an archive.
I would love a metropolitan library, like the city library, like the huge, big central library hub of the entire city.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun. With
those archives that you could just get lost in for days. Like there's a lot of cool potential there.
It has like really neat architecture though.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's that kind of architecture that you see and you're like, this is possibly built as some sort of magical ritual. Like the floor plan has to be laid out in some kind of weird way.
Right. This definitely aligns with some constellation somewhere.
Yeah.
There's absolutely some like catacombs.
Oh, for sure.
That are like for like super old book storage that they modified it into. And there's even areas that nobody's really been to in hundreds of years.
Yeah. Rooms nobody has the keys for anymore.
Yeah.
I think there's like a main, not quite it was when Kirby City was only this tiny like borough. There's what was a main street and is now like a shopping district that is all like little boutique bespoke. Like it's like the outdoor, you walk around outside, you window shop. Like it's kind of the quaint it's a little touristy, right? Like regulars in the city don't really hang out there, but like it's like the cute shopping district.
Okay. Is this where like the farmer market pops up every week during the summer?
Definitely.
Awesome.
Do we have one more suggestion for like a district in our little borough? Something that we would like to see in here.
What are we missing here? I don't know. We have a lot of like
maybe like houses where people live.
Yeah, I guess people do probably live somewhere in the city.
Like, and I'm thinking like specifically, I have a pitch for like the actual like residential sections of the neighborhood.
Okay.
I think they clash a little bit with the rest of the neighborhood because a lot of the houses have been rebuilt. And like it is a place where the larger city has kind of bled into it. So you get this very specific kind of modern city contrast. This is me thinking of the city outside of my door, Philadelphia. There are houses that have been like knocked down or burned down, or they just have been replaced. So you have these very beautiful historical buildings next to these very kind of jarring modern architecture designs. And it's
I think that especially makes sense if you have like a lot of ruined buildings from whatever battle there was or something, like that these have kind of been rebuilt up around that and like are clearly way more modern than. It's
this kind of place where the city is sort of bleeding into the historical city, right? Like it's cool. So
and
those
they clearly
are
haven't figured out all the zoning and
I want to add a small detail to that. Like the lot lines haven't changed in, centuries, so to speak, because they're set up in such a way that creates like, magical.
I love that.
Something or another's, right?
And so the last piece of this is we throw to a question for the hero. Where are you most comfortable in this district? What is your kind of home turf, their place of power?
I mean, I feel like it's probably the library.
That was what I was thinking.
Because, that's probably where my magic is the strongest.
So the library becomes your strong suit, so if we flip a heart, it's going to be somewhere in or around the library. Nice. I'm going to posit that probably the battlefield district is probably your second most comfortable locale, which will be the suit of diamonds. Mm-hmm. And then the suits of clubs and spades are I'm going to say spades is our residential area and our marketplace is clubs. So depending on the card that I flip, that'll give us an initial prompt for where we are and will allow us to more easily kind of create a location and play.
Cool.
And with that, we throw to our villain.
Thanks for joining us for the start of this remarkable series, everyone. Next episode, we actually get to play a round of the game, which was an absolute delight.
Not a thing we get to do very often.
No.
It was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. In our call to action today, we would like to remind you that this Tuesday, January 5th, 2021, marks the Georgia runoff election for both Senate seats. This basically determines the Senate majority and greatly impacts the next 2 years here in the United States. Mm-hmm. So it is extremely important. If you are eligible to vote and registered already, please go out there and vote. Every little bit will count in this runoff.
Absolutely. Next up, we have a reminder to check out my Chimera stream this coming Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time at twitch.chimera.games. And join us for some magical girl eldritch horror as we try to make heads and tails of what happened last episode. So it's going to be a fun time.
Speaking of fun times, we have a review, our last one.
Our last review.
It's very exciting. I don't know if everybody is ready for this intense review.
It's so good.
It's very exciting. This one is from BertBert612 from the United States of America on iTunes. It's titled Good Podcast. It reads, informative. Thank you. Yes. That is like a succinct... it is everything that we weren't in that cold open.
Yeah, it was very succinct. Honestly, though, more reviews like that are fine because if you don't have the spoons to type out exactly what you think and have multiple paragraphs or anything like that, just throw a 5-star review out there and say, hey, informative. It's fun.
Yeah. I mean,
Whatever.
That's true, though, because I think there have been a lot of times where I'm like, I want to leave a review for this podcast, but I don't even know where to begin because like I really love it and it's great. And like, totally. Like I said, like we said before, you can say whatever you want as long as you know 5 stars.
And you know what's really cool is you can leave a review now, and it's just a word or two, and come back later when you do have the spoons to do it and edit it if you like. You don't even have to do that, but leaving that review absolutely helps us out. And you know, since this is the last review that we had in our bucket, we're all out of reviews now. Yeah. So, you know, Apple Podcasts helps the most. I know it's the most inconvenient for a lot of folks, but it really does help the most.
I hate it.
I know.
It's awful. Every time you open that program, it needs to update.
Exactly.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? And it doesn't get any better.
No.
So what are the updates for, Ryan?
From what I understand, it's to support new Apple devices that we don't have. Okay. So, hooray. But, you know, also Stitcher, Podchaser, others out there, just go ahead and leave a review where you can, and we'll get to it. For now, though, we're going to be closing out the episode. Bid you all adieu, and hope to see you back here next week for the continuation of our Anyone Can Wear the Mask series.
Until then, take care, stay safe, stay home, vote if you live in Georgia, drink water, get sleep. Pet your pets, all of those things. Have an excellent 2021. Thank you for starting the year with us, and we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us for part 1 of this character creation series. We'll be back in part 2, picking up right where we left off.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia and Ryan, can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can be found in the show notes. If you'd like to leave us a rating or review, we have links to various review platforms out there, including Apple Podcasts, in our show notes. Also, check the show notes for links to our other projects. Thanks for joining us, and remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We will see you next time.
Now we gotta read some show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Character Creation Cast is hosted by the One Shot Podcast Network. If you enjoyed our show, visit oneshotpodcast.com, where you'll find other great shows like A Woman with Hollow Eyes.
A Woman with Hollow Eyes is a podcast adaptation of One Shot's live-streamed dramatic Invisible Sun actual play. Discover a world of magic, secrets, and supernatural civic disputes in our unique take on Saturnine. In the first season, James D'Amato, Kat Cool, and SNL writer Alan Linick are led on a mind-bending adventure by GM Darcy Ross. Even if you already saw the streams, you want to listen to this podcast for the incredible soundtrack, composed and edited by Will Levendahl, Get it by searching for A Woman with Hollow Eyes or Darcy Ross on iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite podcast app.